Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 37 of the Comic Room Pod. I'm your host, and with me, as always, is Mr. Longbox.
Hello.
Welcome in, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, listening, wherever you're consuming this content. We appreciate it. Big week this week. We got WonderCon.
Sir.
And we had a big announcement this morning for Avengers Doomsday. Crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Two really big things.
Yep. And then, of course, we got to talk about Daredevil.
Yes, and then Daredevil, of course. I would say it's like all the tension that has built up this entire season is here, finally. Yes. So I know I see you looking at this thing still.
I can't help it. It's so beautiful. I can't take my eyes off that cover. I need it. I have the book, but I need that pop.
Yeah, for context, so you guys can see, my parents got me this for my birthday. It's a Funko Daredevil 168. So
yeah, and I just saw it about 5 minutes ago, and then he proceeded to tell me, "Oh yeah, they're available at Target." And now I'm an itchy trigger finger to race out of here straight to Target.
Classic.
Okay. I have FOMO, big time.
So we know what he's getting at WonderCon. He's going to get a 9.9 copy of Daredevil 168.
That would be something I would feel very satisfied with if that's all I got. You know.
Yeah, I think anybody would. Yeah, for sure. Time codes in the description. We got a little bit of a different episode today as far as layout goes. So there's going to be no show and tell on the front end of this video. Because we're going to WonderCon, we're going to record show and tell while we're there. But I'm leaving a day earlier than Mr. Longbox is. So we'll basically record our show and tell before I leave. So We'll give you guys a little bit of a on con grounds.
Yes, from embedded in the convention itself. We'll give you a report at what we snagged.
Yeah, so it'd be fun to get you guys not from SoCal, or those of you who have never traveled to SoCal to attend WonderCon. We'll give you guys a little sneak peek. I don't know where we'll set up, either outside or maybe we'll just pick somewhere on the con floor and just
we just body into the McFarlane area, because he's gonna be there signing. So we should just like set up and go, yo, Todd Father, you know us, we're the Comic Room. We're just gonna be here. He'll feel privileged.
I have a newsstand copy of Hulk 340.
You could just like trip and go, oh, and it just landed in his hands. Well, since you're holding it,
why not?
You know, or I'll trip right behind you and flip a nice Sharpie up toward him.
A very dramatic scene.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's the show today. We're going to start out with news. So no show and tell. Again, that's at the end. We're going to start out with news, the big announcement today, and then we'll get into the rest of the episode after that. So if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel to see more episodes of the Comic Room Pod.
Yeah.
Like this video. If you do enjoy it, send it to a friend that you think might also enjoy it. Hurts no one, benefits everybody. So
yeah, it's easy.
You can follow us on Instagram. I'm at Spros_comics, and he is at Mr. Longbox. Let's get into this news.
Yeah.
So last night it was rumored that today Marvel was going to be dropping an announcement. I think the phrasing they used was rivaling the RDJ as Dr. Doom casting.
That's a big promise.
Yeah, that is a very big promise. So that's why we got my copy of FF5 out today, to tie in with that a little bit. And so I had actually tweeted, let's see.
Wow. I just have to look.
Go for it. So I said, there was a tweet, I quote retweeted it, and I said, this could be a Jonathan Majors Kang return, but I feel like that ship has sailed. You can't really move forward with Doom and have Kang being an equal threat. Perhaps a full X-Men movie announcement or an A-list actor has been cast, maybe as Molecule Man, big eye emoji, or it's nothing at all. Then I followed that up and I said, I can't think of anything bigger than a Doom casting, because really Dr. Doom was like the biggest.
It was the biggest thing that happened at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
It was the big thing.
And he's the biggest character that the MCU hasn't seen yet. I don't think there's a character bigger than Doom.
No.
So I was trying to figure out, I was like, okay, well, who? I was like, well, there's nothing really there. So I said maybe a T'Challa recast, but
That would be great.
That would be great. But honestly, I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's not something leakers would be like, yo, this is coming tomorrow. So my final theory was, could Marvel have finally bought back the Spider-Man property from Sony? Because really, I think that would be bigger than the Doom announcement.
Yeah.
Because basically that would just imply so many things. One, that would imply that, well, it would definitively mean that Marvel and Disney now run the show and they're not splitting and like have all these contracts with Sony. But I think what it would have meant is, if it would have happened, that's not the news. But if it would have happened, I think we would have seen Miles in Secret Wars. Ooh. Because he does play a big role in the comics Secret Wars. So it would have just had it would have been a domino effect. Like, so many potentially good things would have happened after that. But that's not what happened. What the announcement ended up being, though, was the full cast list for Avengers Doomsday. I'm certain there's going to be cameos that we don't know about that they didn't announce. So there's 27 names here, I believe. People thought there was going to be 50. And basically they started this live stream at like 8 in the morning or something like that.
So that explains why you texted me back. I texted you this morning.
Yeah.
And I did not think you would be up to. I almost delayed it and had it send you later. But I figured he won't hear it. He'll be asleep. Yeah. It's fine. And then you texted back within 10 minutes. And oh man, I woke him up. But no, you were up. You were watching this thing to see what's up. So that explains it.
Then I went back to bed because they were they were not pushing it along.
Yeah.
But basically they had like this live stream set up. I'll throw up a picture so you guys can, those of you watching, can get an idea. Basically, they had like these director chairs set up, and on the backs of the director chairs, they had the name of the actors. So I think the first name was Chris Hemsworth. And then basically, like every 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes a little less than 15 to 20 minutes, the camera would pan over into the next chair. And then it would show a name. And then it would be static for another 15, 20 minutes.
Wow, that's... And did they didn't say what character? Obviously, we know who Hemsworth's going to be, but I mean, I assume we know who Hemsworth's going to be.
Right, yeah. So every name that they announce is somebody who's already been in the movies.
Okay, so how's that bigger than RJD, Chat GBC, Chat G,
PSNE,
CVSC? Okay, there's too many letters, man.
I think they were kind of going off of. Well, did you see any of this?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I have no idea. This is going to be some of this. I mean, I got caught up on some of the news, but some of it's going to be news to me, in fact. So
okay, I guess some of it I think some of it you'll really like. Okay. There's a lot of nostalgia in it for sure, like nostalgia that we haven't seen yet. So
all right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read off the list, and we can just kind of. Some of it we won't talk about, but some of it will be interesting to talk about. All right. I will say spoilers for Doomsday if you want to go in completely blind and you don't want to know who's in the movie. Spoilers for that. Also spoilers for Thunderbolts, because, and I don't think this is the fault of the studio. People are mad because Thunderbolt actors are going to be in this, and people thought that the Thunderbolts were going to die. So I feel like, if your theory was that some of the Thunderbolts were going to die, or who was going to come out, I don't think Marvel had ever really kind of implied any of that in any of the marketing for the movie. So I feel like people are just falling victim to their own theories. Mm-hmm. And I guess that these actors make it out alive, but there was never marketing of only one survives, or
right,
somebody dies, who will it be? So really that's just the fan base theorizing, and then
so not a major spoiler.
Yeah, but yeah. So
in full disclosure.
Yeah. It's just so you know, in case you were theorizing hardcore about that movie. I don't believe that this is in order that they released it, this list that I have pulled up, so which is fine. But yeah, okay. So here we go. Paul Rudd is Ant-Man. coming back.
Okay.
Fair enough. Simu Liu is Shang-Chi. So
Nice. Well, that means Shang-Chi's going to be, I mean, he's not reintroduced, but he's going to come back and be, because we wondered about that.
Yeah, and I think what'll be nice about having Shang-Chi is that one post-credit scene. Honestly, I don't even, was it at the end of Shang-Chi when it was like him, Wong, Captain Marvel, and Bruce Banner like in the cast, and they were like sitting there talking about where the 10 rings came from.
So maybe finally pays off.
Yeah, like we've never had anything come from that, so I feel like that's just like a direct connection. Tom Hiddleston is Loki. So
awesome.
That's, I mean, he's holding it all together right now.
Yeah,
he is.
That's right. He is literally holding it together
at the end of time, and he's holding everything together. The ultimate.
So don't go too far, Loki. Like, be part of the movie, but don't leave.
I love that. I need to rewatch season 2 because Dara and I are watching through the Marvel movies in timeline order, and we finished. Well, we watched Avengers like a couple episodes ago, or a couple movies ago. I think we're near like Age of Ultron now. But it's crazy to think. Like after we watch Avengers, I was like, "Dang, this is the Loki that we follow into the Loki show, not the Loki that goes and has sacrificial moments in the rest of the MCU, but like at the end of Infinity War before he dies, like he has that big sacrificial moment." But it's the one who was terrorizing New York and who was a villain down to its core.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that's now holding the multiverse together.
Now you see the character arc.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's go back and watch Avengers if you haven't seen it in a while. Cause when just seeing how like that's the Loki, it's a totally different Loki than we've come to know. I think it's really cool. Let's see. Lewis Pullman is Sentry. So this is a character that's going to be in the Thunderbolts, Superman type. Don't know much about him yet. Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova. So it'll be great to have Florence Pugh. She's an incredible actress. Danny Ramirez is Falcon, your favorite. He's back.
All
right. Actually, let me. I'm gonna skip this one and I'm gonna come back to it. All right, Sebastian Stan is Bucky. Expected. Here's a big one. Winston Duke as M'Baku. So M'Baku is back, and he'll be in Doomsday. So Wakanda will have some involvement.
Let's go. Let's get it going.
Yeah,
I want to see some more.
Chris Hemsworth is Thor. We already said. Let me skip that one. Channing Tatum is Gambit.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So he's finally getting it, something beyond parody of himself, like in a way, right? He got to play it. And we all thought it was like, well, it'll be a funny moment because you never actually did get to do it, but now he gets to do it.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So there was the post credit scene at the end of Deadpool where you see him in another universe, like walking down some street, and he looked lost. But so it'll be fun catching up with him.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah.
I thought his character was great. So it'd be fun to keep it up. And
that's good. That's kind of a surprise. Okay.
Yeah. Wyatt Russell is U.S. agent. So he was the Captain America stand-in during Falcon and the Winter Soldier. From the clips I've seen of him in the Thunderbolts trailer, he's pretty funny. So I'm excited to see what that movie's like.
This is a pretty big cast.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of names, big names.
I'm skipping a lot of stuff too that I'll save for the end. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm.
I got to be happy about that.
Yep. And let me just skip down to this name because
is Sue Storm the only FF member?
No.
Okay.
Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, and I'll just say I have to follow it up with this one. Tanak Huerta Mejia as Namor.
Okay, that's good.
So
I like that because I know some people didn't like the way he was portrayed in it was Wakanda Forever. Right?
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I thought playing up the Aztec, I really liked that.
Yeah.
It made him I thought much more interesting than I'd seen him in the comic books.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And the tone of him being kind of dark and brooding is consistent with Namor. He comes back in the Silver Age as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about FF6 being the first supervillain team up, a lot of people go, what do you mean villain? Submariner's a hero. He had his own title, the whole thing. No, he was a villain. He was a Golden Age hero, but when he returned in the Silver Age, Lee and Kirby cast him as a villain for the FF.
Yeah.
So anyway, I like that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Plus, he looked really cool.
Yeah, he did.
Let's be real.
Yeah. First supervillain team up, FF6.
Get your FF6 while you can. Get your FF4 while you can.
Yep. Get your FF5 while you can.
And while you're at it, go ahead and get your Marvel Comics issue #1 if you really want first appearance of Submariner or famous Motion Picture Funnies Weekly if that's actually the one that's first Namor. It's disputed, but
Is it cheaper?
It's cheaper, but it's still it's a 6-figure book.
Yeah,
and Marvel Comics is a 7-figure book. So if you can get either one of those books, you probably don't need to take my advice about for anything. I need to take your advice. Tell me how you did it. But anyway,
yeah, and then of course the Namor Sue Storm tension, the love triangle that Namor likes to think is a love triangle, but it's actually not.
But if you've ever had a wife or a girlfriend, it doesn't have to be real to make you jealous.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It just has to be perceived.
Yeah.
Or even just the guy being interested in your woman,
Yeah.
your girl, whatever, is enough. If you're a guy, it's going to get you. It's going to raise the hackles on the back of your neck. It's just so that tension is just inherent, right?
Yeah.
And Reed too, the sort of smoldering, like especially if it's Pedro Pascal, he'll play that better.
Oh yeah.
Than, anyway, yeah, I love it, man. That's good. These are good.
And that's 2 Mexicans right there. So representation.
Yeah, for both of us.
Pedro Pascal.
And me just for all the Mexican food I eat.
Yeah, you're represented by Sue Storm.
Oh, okay. I thought I was getting represented for the Mexican blood. Does loving the culture, does that count? Do I get something for that?
Yeah, of course.
For having a son-in-law, do I get something for that?
There you go.
And I'm for the fact I live in Southern California and that's like half my diet.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay.
That's fair enough. Right. Let's see, where am I on this list?
And I did honeymoon in Cancun.
There you go. Cancun is great.
Yes.
Not that one. Letitia Wright as Black Panther. She's coming back. So
okay.
All
right.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Wakanda, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy about that. Let's run it. Bring T'Challa back though. Come on.
Yeah, it's time.
And I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to be that guy.
Probably not a Doomsday thing, but probably a Secret Wars thing.
It would make a lot of sense in Secret Wars.
And we'll talk about why when the list is done.
Okay.
Okay. Next, Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards, obviously bringing him back. Hannah John came in as Ghost, so that's a Thunderbolts character.
All right.
And she was the villain in Ant-Man 2. Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm.
Okay. All right.
David Harbour as Red Guardian. Another Black Widow and Thunderbolts. Anthony Mackie as Captain America. Obviously, he's kind of leading. Mm-hmm. Well, we assume he's leading.
What was that? Did you hear that bang?
Yeah, it's probably one of the cats.
No way. Would you get a panther? I think that might have been a sonic boom. We got SpaceX coming back or going out or something.
They're a little louder though. Those shake the windows.
All right.
But
we get those every once in a while around here because Vandenberg's not far off.
Yeah. But sometimes like when the cats are fighting and they like slam into the walls.
Oh my God. Call the ambulance. I mean, it felt like the house moved. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about Black Panther.
Ebon Moss Bachrach is back, not as the Thing, but as Micro from The Punisher. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa, that was a low blow, man. I was like, wait, what's happening? How can that work? Okay, good.
That was the meme when his name popped up on the chairs. It was, oh my gosh, Ebon Moss Bachrach's come back as Micro.
Wow. Okay. That would definitely been a twist. So the whole FF is there. Makes me happy. Which we have theorized all along that, first steps is first steps. It's the rollout, and they're going to go big with this group, and which is so nice because now it gives me even more confidence in the movie because they're not going to try to do it all in one movie. Yeah, that's always been, I think, the biggest downfall with all the Fantastic Four movies is you got 4 characters plus plus whatever the villain is, plus another guest star. So you got 5, 6, 7 main characters. You're trying to tell all these stories at once, and you give one movie to do it, and it's just shallow.
Yeah.
So they're going to take their time. We're going to see these characters in a lot of movies. That's a really good sign.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
And of course, RDJ as Doctor Doom will be back.
All right. So how you feeling about it? Have your, people definitely have strong feelings about this. Are you warming up to the idea a little more, or is it still like bad decision, Marvel, not going with it?
So he was at the end of this live stream and he was like sitting in his chair, but he had Tony Stark energy the whole time. He didn't have like brooding villain. He leans back kind of like Agatha does, like when she's in the director's chair in WandaVision, she like looks back at the camera and winks. Like he kind of like does something similar. He like looks back and then he like looks down at all the chairs and then he stands up and he does like the shrug and like eyebrow like lift, like just like very like Tony Stark type smug. And it's just not. It just wasn't very villainous or Doom like. It was very RDJ slash.
Was he supposed to be in character, or you just kind of hoping?
No, but it's like he's so much Tony Stark, and like him in a suit, his haircut. He still had the facial hair, and so he brought that like cocky, just smug attitude, and it was like I'm seeing Tony Stark right now. Like I'm not seeing Doom.
Here's my take on it. I think the Tony Stark character is in a lot of ways who Downey Jr. is.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's really true because obviously I don't know him.
Right.
But what I do know is that he's one of the best actors of his generation. So if his default and is kind of a Tony Stark kind of persona, and that's why he falls into it so naturally, like when he's not in character, that's fine. I do believe that when the camera turns on and he needs to be that brooding villain, he'll be able to pull it off. The question is, will we go with him?
Yeah.
Or are we still going to see Tony Stark? Like he's really taking on a big challenge to be able to fool us, or at least make us believe, or make us suspend that disbelief.
Yeah.
After all, it is a movie about superheroes and supervillains flying around and time travel, and we're not willing to suspend disbelief for this thing. But to be honest, it crosses over into the real world, and this, how do we do it?
Yeah.
But he did. I think he has the chops to make me believe it. You maybe not as much, especially because you're right in the middle of watching all the Avengers movies right now, so it's so fresh in your mind.
Well, I think. I'm not gonna like default to hating him. Like if he's gonna do good, he's gonna do good. I think I'll have a problem with if he has his mask off most of the time and it's RDJ. Like if he's under the mask, I think 100% he could he could do his job. Like
yeah.
But I think if they have him, and this is kind of like the tension is like you're paying RDJ like all of this money, like an insane amount of money. Are you not going to show his face? Like that's what's going to get people in the theaters. So it's like, and if you have his face on the screen, people are just going to be thinking Tony Stark unless they really disfigure it, which they should to be like Victor Von Doom. So there's that part of it, and then I think what will be another determining factor is just what is his story. So the Russo brothers actually were doing an interview and they said that he, Dr. Doom, and how he kind of is jumping into our world is very, very tied into the last I Am Iron Man snap moment.
Okay.
So they said that that's important. So, I guess if they lean into it heavy, I guess it's like it probably won't be too bad. Because at least it's like there's like self-awareness and like a meta bit to it.
Right.
But it's like if you're trying not to be, but also trying to be, I think that's where it's tough. And I feel like that's just kind of what I expect from Marvel.
Right.
Like they're not really like DC is way more like meta, like kind of on that commentary. And like same with like Guardians, like and that's just like a James Gunn thing. But I don't think that really any other Marvel properties have kind of been like that. So
I'm curious about something. Has there ever really been a lot of talk or admission regarding the Doctor Doom influence on Darth Vader?
No.
You know, when you think about it, like
Yeah.
Doom is the ultimate evil guy in the Marvel universe, and he's this guy with a disfigured face behind a mask that you never see him. You never see his face, and that's what Darth and the cape and the body armor. It's almost identical except the color.
Yeah. It's true.
I mean, no one's suing anybody because they're all owned by the same company now anyway.
Yeah.
But don't you wonder? I mean, it's interesting.
That is curious.
I mean, it might be an indirect influence, but it'd be hard to deny it.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody thoughts on that? Let us know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
maybe we'll do a little bit of research later.
Yeah,
after Daredevil and
I mean, I'm not the first one to think of it. I'm sure the conversation's been had, but I never thought of it before now.
All right. Ready for this part of the list that I've kept hidden from you?
Yep. Oh, wow. Okay.
All right.
This is a good list already.
This is the big part of the list. And I think this is the part of the list where they were like, oh, this is what's rivaling what the RDJs do.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Let me make sure I can
okay. I'll
speak clearly.
I'll take my moment to take a drink too.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right. Returning in Avengers Doomsday, Sir Ian McKellen as Magneto.
Really?
Coming back.
What? Wait. Because he's Sony.
No, that's Fox.
I mean, Fox. Sorry. Fox. But he's never been in an MCU.
Correct. Yeah. And Marvel.
That is big.
Disney owns Fox now. So.
Wow, that is big. Okay, that's and awesome.
Yeah. This one, Kelsey Grammer's Beast coming back. We saw him in a post-credit scene.
So we're getting the X-Men characters. Let's go. Okay.
James Marsden as Cyclops. Coming back.
It's coming back. So tell me, has Marvel, has the MCU come to an arrangement with Fox at this point?
Yeah, they did in 2016.
Okay, so they've done things, but
that's why they can make the FF movie now. And
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wondered. Okay, all right, that's real. Okay, keep going.
Okay. Where am I? Patrick Stewart as Professor X. He's back. We've seen him back already.
Man, they're bringing them all back. These are big announcements. This is really cool. Okay, this is what we've all wanted for so long.
Yeah, that
right.
is.
We're gonna get to celebrate it.
All right, here's the last two. Rebecca Romijn as Mystique.
She was the first one.
She was the first one,
yes, I think, and I thought the best one.
Yeah. All right, last one here. This might be my favorite. Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler is coming back.
Wow. They're bringing the whole Fox X-Men team.
The whole
as a group into the MCU in this. Are they going to be cameos? How's this going to work? They have so many characters.
So this is the conversation that's being had. Is there was a comic event a few years ago before we started collecting again. I think it was like late 2000s, maybe, or sorry, late 2010s. So I think like 2018, 2019. It's called Axe, Avengers versus X-Men. So people were theorizing that this is what the movie's going to be, is Avengers versus X-Men, Doom pitting them against each other somehow. Here's my theory on it. If it is Avengers versus X-Men, I think would be a bigger pull to the box office for people to go. But they're telling a Doom story over 2 movies, so makes sense. But if they are going to do the Avengers versus X-Men, how do you make it make sense and like spring it on us, bringing all these old characters back? Here's what I think. Incursions are happening. Worlds are being lost. Obviously, the 616 universe that we've been following has been the main universe. I think that in somehow, some way, maybe it's maybe it's a bit meta from their perspective, but I think that Fox X-Men team is going to see themselves as the main universe, and Doom is going to be pitting them against each other.
Oh, interesting.
As in like a prove who's the one, who's the universe. So I think that's how you can make an Avengers versus X-Men movie make sense. Is you might, you want to save every universe, but at the end of the day, these heroes are gonna be like, well, I'm gonna save my universe,
Of course.
and so I think
if I had to pick, I would say that the X-Men would destroy the Avengers. From a comic book, X-Men would destroy comic book Avengers. I'm not sure about movie Avengers and movie X-Men.
well, especially this lineup of Avengers. I mean, if the Fantastic Four, I guess it just depends. Like, whose side would the FF be on? Are they going to be on the X-Men side or the Avengers side?
No, they'd probably be on the Avengers side because they're both OG. Well, what am I talking about? But I split X-Men and New X-Men. This is the New X-Men. This is the 75 X-Men.
But here's the thing though is, and this is like another part to my theory, since those X-Men movies, right? They did like the first 3, right? They did 3, X1, X2, and Last Stand. And then they did like the prequel ones with I'm forgetting his name. Michael Fassbender's Magneto, who I think was excellent. I can't remember the dude who played Professor X. But anyways, so those were like prequels that led up to those original X-Men movies. And those started in the 60s.
Yeah, I think the guy who played Professor X is the same guy who played the guy in the final trilogy of the Unbreakable or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, I can't.
Such a good actor.
He's such a good actor. Yeah, he was in
one of my favorites.
Chronicles of Narnia, and I can't remember his name right now.
I'm terrible. Yeah, he played Mr. Tumnus, but I'm lousy with actors' names, but I do remember that guy's face.
So
Tumnus.
because that X-Men First Class took place in the 1960s, and we know that this is taking place in the FF movie is taking place in the 1960s, and we know that FF was a Fox property. What if that FF team is actually coming from that universe?
Ooh. That'd be kind of interesting. That would be really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I could go with that.
Yeah. So
that, oh man.
A lot of fun theories.
Yeah, that's really fun. And when does Doomsday come out?
Next year. Like next spring sometime.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty soon. I mean, we're still my prediction is by Christmas, FF movie will be such a blockbuster, it'll still be in the theaters.
Heck yeah.
Still be selling out.
So just to follow up with that list, here's a list of people that were missing. Because there's a lot of characters that weren't in that.
Okay.
Spider-Man for number 1. Not on that list. No version of Spider-Man, by the way.
I'm just weeping tears. Spider-Man was left out. I'm so sad.
So there is a Spider-Man movie coming out after Doomsday. So, yeah, I mean, we just don't know the events.
That's because they got all the other superheroes together, and they decided Spider-Man gets enough ink. We're sick of him. We don't need him in this movie.
And then the movie's going to make no money, and they're going to be like, okay, wait, bring him back, bring him back.
That's the issue. That's the problem. Everything's got to be Spider-Man or it won't be successful. It's not true. Okay.
Missing Wong, who is the current acting Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, that's odd.
Pretty important.
Yeah. Okay.
Hawkeye. Both Hawkeyes are missing. Kate Bishop and Clint Barton. Hulk and She-Hulk are missing.
All right.
Deadpool and Wolverine are missing.
So Wolverine's not coming with the X-Men team then.
Yeah.
No, obviously not because
not on the list. Could be a cameo, right? There's still, other cameos to be had, but not part of the main cast.
Okay.
No Captain Marvel, which, she's so outer space.
Yeah.
And like Captain Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy, not named. I mean, the Guardians are like kind of broken up. There's like a new Guardians being formed, but they're so like deep space. It would take a minute for them to get wrapped in.
And isn't there kind of a feud with Brie Larson and Marvel, or am I mistaken about that? Or is it just that people are mad at the movies in general regarding Captain Marvel?
Yeah, I think probably just
Okay,
that.
so all right.
No Photon and no Kamala Khan Ms. Marvel. They were the other two actresses in
Right. But we're going to get Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel somewhere else.
Don't get me started. No Vision or Wanda.
That kind of makes sense though, because what that story is so up in the air right now. There's got so many loose strings in other shows. If they were to promise those two in this show, they either have to have it set into timeline before all that stuff, or they got to figure that stuff out for us.
Yeah, well, Wanda is so important to the Avengers, to the X-Men. Like, she's just such an important character.
Yeah, she's central.
Yeah, she was a core X-Men.
Founding member of the X-Men.
And then her and her brother Quicksilver left to go to the Avengers, and they were on the Avengers for years.
Yeah.
And then they went to the West Coast Avengers. Like, they've been a part of all the teams.
Like when you think of Scarlet, at least for me, when I think of Scarlet Witch, I don't think of X-Men, actually. I think of Avengers.
Yeah.
That may just be my timeline of where I jumped into reading. But she is a founding, it's X-Men 4. So yeah, she's not there, but how could she be there?
Yeah.
But maybe they'll talk about her.
Yeah. Because we still don't know if she's alive. Obviously, she's alive.
Yeah. She's a Scarlet Witch. I don't think she can die.
Yeah. So, no Moon Knight. Dang it.
You know why? Because they're saving Moon Knight for what we talked about last episode, the street level stuff.
Yeah.
They're gonna, because in a way, like Moon Knight with cosmic things doesn't work for me as much. Like I think he's just not overmatched. It's just not in his element. Like he's almost undefeatable. Professor, which one is it? But he's undefeatable, indefatigable. That's indefatigable. But anyway, I can see why they wouldn't put him in. I think they have other plans for him that are going to work better for who he is.
Yeah. No Defenders.
No Daredevil.
No Daredevil. No Kingpin. No Bullseye. No.
Anything with the Defenders. No Valkyrie. No Cat. Whatever they call.
Yeah. None of Thor's family. So at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder, he had Gore's daughter with him.
Right.
So not her. No War Machine, no Nick Fury, no Agatha, and no Scarlet Witch's kids.
Well, not yet anyway.
Yeah. So
yeah, they got plenty to work with. That's for sure. The first piece I got was that you had said was Hemsworth to me in a text, and Vanessa Kirby, and my response was, well, if the Invisible Woman is there, the rest of the FF can't be far behind. And that, so to me, I'm already at, and that's to me the most welcome news. But what's the most fun news for me is the X-Men, that whole cast.
Yeah, it's I'm very excited just to see,
minus Wolverine, but that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we just saw him, so it's not like we're itching.
Nope.
So yeah, I'm very excited just to see what they plan on doing with all of it. So
there's a lot they can do.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories.
And Doomsday is going to be how many movies of a story arc are they planning, or have they said?
It's just Doomsday and Secret Wars. So
okay. Wow.
Yeah. So
gonna move fast.
Yeah, I imagine it's gonna be like the reason why I think myself and others think it's gonna be Avengers vs. X-Men is because like Doom could be putting them onto like the battle world and being like save your universe. And then Battleworld is just going to launch. Like, they might be fighting each other, and then they're going to be like, wait a second. We can
all hands on deck.
Come together and come out on top.
So
and then Secret Wars.
So, yeah, who's the villain?
Doom.
Of course. I'm such a dope. Sorry. I knew that already. Duh. I've seen the leaked footage. The movie's called Doomsday. This comic is sitting right here. What's up, Longbox? You're slipping.
So somebody tweeted that where'd it go? The post-credit scene from Deadpool and Wolverine is looking a little silly now.
What was it again?
The montage of the Fox X-Men.
Oh yeah,
and just like
that was really fun though. That was a cool one.
Yeah, just giving them their goodbye, and then turns out it wasn't a goodbye.
Homage, and never mind.
MCU had, or I think when they had this live stream on Twitter, they had like, I think it was 10 million people watching, just chairs with actors' names on the back.
So if 10 million people watch that, all we're really asking for is 1% of that 10 million to come and watch our podcast. That's all. It's 1%.
What's 1% of 10 million?
100,000. Is that right? So because 10 million, 10% of 10 million would be 1 million, and then 10% of 1 million would be 100,000. So sorry, we'll take 10% of 10 million.
Easy.
We're gonna make a big jump. We want that.
Wouldn't that be something?
What's the plaque you get for 1 million subscribers?
I don't know. Is it gold? Platinum, maybe?
Yeah,
Gold? Whatever it is, send it to us.
yeah. If the YouTube channel gets 1 million, do we get 2 plaques or only 1 plaque?
1.
I want a duplicate plaque. I want one too. It's your channel, but I'm on it. It'll be because of the podcast.
Oh, true. All right.
Let's just get to 2,000.
Daredevil. Yeah, let's get to 2,000. Let's get to 1,500.
Okay.
Although I've got
Where are we anyway? I haven't really looked.
It's at 1275 right now.
Really? Well, we're happy for all 1275 of you. I think that's actually really good.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
It went up a lot after I posted the $20,000 collection. I gained a decent amount of subscribers from that, and I gained a decent amount of subscribers or followers on Instagram from that.
I thought it was related to when I got my hair cut and I didn't wear my hat.
That and the time you shaved your beard, actually.
Yeah, I think
by accident.
It went by accident. Yeah, things went awry, and then we got into the viral sphere of things. Yeah. So if things start to slow down a bit, I'll come up with something new.
Shave your head.
I'll get an earring.
Shave your eyebrows.
Shave my eyebrows? Would I shave my eyebrows for 5,000 subscribers? Probably not. But if we were at 95,000, I might do it.
Fair enough. All right. We got Daredevil episode 5 and 6. They did a double release. Spoilers ahead. I know we got a comment saying that they wish that Peyton wishes he could listen, but he can't. So sorry, Peyton. We could do a non-spoiler for the first episode, but no, we're covering every episode now. It's all spoilers.
I'm sorry, Peyton, but you know, I know it's hard to find time, but it'll be maybe about 6 hours of your time to get caught up, and you'll be glad you did because it's so good.
Yeah. So let's just quickly run through episode 5 because we got about like 20-30 minutes.
Okay.
So episode 5, a filler episode, which is why they released 2. I think a lot of us would have been not happy had it just been episode 5 and then
because it didn't pursue. It was its own separate little anecdote.
Yeah. So I mean, it definitely was like Matt continuing to break.
Yep.
And breaking the promise to himself into Foggy, but that really doesn't, like, the big moment comes in episode 6. In episode 5, we get a really big connection to the MCU. Matt is going to the bank on behalf of his law firm to get a loan because they're taking these pro bono. Is that the right word? Pro bono clients. And sounds like they're potentially going broke. So they needed to get a loan.
Someone's got to pay you.
Yeah. So he makes a nice case to the man working at the bank, who actually turns out to be Kamala Khan, aka Ms. Marvel's father. He was probably the shining light of the Ms. Marvel TV show. He was like the only enjoyable part that I did not enjoy that show for the most part.
I didn't watch the show. How about that?
Yeah, but her dad in it was pretty funny, and he was cool. And while they're talking, he denies Matt the loan because of bank requirements to get a loan. So Matt leaves. As he's leaving, he's hearing a bank robbery start up. So he's so funny, man. He just like turns around and he like, I just love, like, I love the little scenes where he's walking to the bank and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like what? Like, and he's being blind, even though he's not really blind, and he sees more than we can. So yep. I just love those little moments when he does that, or like when he's walking out of a building and they just take like 5 seconds for him to like put his walking stick on the ground and just like figure out where he is. Like, dude, He's more aware than anybody
Yeah.
walking out of that building.
Yeah.
It's always so
He's
funny.
always in character.
Yeah, to see him like play into it, it's always so funny. So he does the same thing. He goes back into the bank. Turns out there's a robbery. Really cool scenes of Matt just being brave. Dara pointed out that there was even like a some Christ-like imagery when he had told it was the Irish who were robbing the bank, and they chose him and then another woman to be the two hostages that they would let free to go to the cops. And Matt, the girl was like a newlywed and she was with her husband, and Matt says, no, take the husband. Don't just leave me. Don't have pity on me because I'm blind. And then they eventually swap. And so when they're walking away, the husband like grabs his coat and says, thank you. And Dara pointed out like just like the Christ like imagery that there is in that. And then after that, Matt kind of sets his plan of breaking out, and he's pretty much splitting up everybody. Yeah. So he's got the one dude going with Kamala's dad to go open up the vault. He gets one dude to go with him to
take him to the bathroom,
and then he fights his way out, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
The stairwell fight scene was awesome.
Yeah. The fight took a little longer than I thought. Like he's Daredevil. Yeah. But he's not in his suit, and he's also trying to be quiet because he doesn't want, like, a knife hits the stairwell and everybody's kind of, what was that?
Yeah. I think it's gonna echo.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got like this moment where he has to let go of the guy to catch, like, transfer him from holding him with his hands to holding him in some kind of a lock with his knees. Yeah. So that he can catch the guy's rifle, which is about to drop out of the stairwell down to the stairs below, which, like,
multiple stories.
Yeah, that'll be that. Like. And and it's a great moment. So he's fighting, trying to be quiet, but it was a great fight scene. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of fight scenes in the movie or in the series so far, but that was. But when we get them, they're amazing, and this did not disappoint. Yeah, it's really good.
Then he cracks the vault, and Kamala's dad is like, what in the world?
Yeah. And we're like, this is easy peasy for Daredevil, no problem.
So that was pretty cool. It was Locker 407, which I looked up. It's issue 27 from volume 2. I didn't read it, and I have no clue what happens, but that's the comic associated with that. And then the escape happens. But while they escape, the main Irish gang leader, basically Matt is able to time it perfectly, like before he's about to get shot, to when the cops break into the bank to extract everybody. And so there's like a countdown between the person who's going to shoot him and then the cops or the SWAT team counting down when they would break entry. Yeah. And so the countdown's happening at the same time, and Matt had timed it perfectly. And then they escape. But while that escape is happening, the Irish mob leader swaps into a cop fit. And Matt has this really cool moment where it's foggy because, foggy. And the SWAT team is throwing in smoke bombs into the bank. And so he has this moment where he's looking up and you can see like this smirk. And it's almost like this dialogue that he's having with God is like, are you tempting me or are you calling me back? Like that's kind of like the what you see on his face is because there's not frustration. So it's almost as if he's coming to a point where maybe he's realizing it's not temptation anymore, but it's God's will for his life. Yeah. And so that was a really cool moment. So he leaves the bank, chases the guy down, and they have an awesome fight scene. I think he was getting beat up a little bit in the beginning, and I was like, "This dude's rusty." Matt's not
he wasn't dominating like he should.
But then he turns it around real quick with like a couple shots and bends the guy's knee inward, and
we saw that in the trailer.
Yeah,
I mean, so that was one of the ways we knew it was going to be violent, and I'd forgotten about that scene in the trailer.
Yeah, me too.
And then in the midst of that fight scene, when the guy's up against the wall, it triggered the memory, and I said, "Oh my gosh, here it comes!" And I wanted to turn away, but I couldn't really turn away, and I watched it again, and it it made me squirm. It was, the leg is like this, and it just goes like that, just beneath the knee.
Just the way body shouldn't work.
No, and the body mechanics don't go like that. And then the guy screaming, and then it cuts away.
Yeah,
and the sound was what you'd think it would be.
Yeah. So then everything gets settled. Everything's happy. There was a jewel that the people were after, and he had had swapped it from the mob actually taking it. And so he goes back to visit Kamala Khan's dad. And I think he had said that they weren't able to recover the gem. I think he tells Matt that. And so he's like, hey, thanks for like saving us, but that doesn't mean we can give you the loan now.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, no worries. Like, I'm just here to check on you. And then his dad invites him over to have dinner with the family. And there's a shot of his dad that we still haven't seen yet that does look like it takes place inside of an apartment. So let me just stop here and say, the thought that I was having was, get this Ms. Marvel propaganda off the screen. I don't want to see it. I don't care.
Yeah, we don't mix the bad with the good.
The show was not good. I find, no offense, but I guess it's going to be offensive either way, but I just find the actress completely and totally unconvincing. I find her interviews to be rude. She's like said some things about, like, Kevin Feige is called the Marvel MCU, our Marvel movies, the 616. And she's like, that's not the 616. The comics are the 616. Like, Kevin Feige can't do that. Like, the comics always be 616. And it's like, if you have a little bit of media literacy, it's not hard to figure out. We're not going to see print media characters on the screen. Like, what we're seeing on the screen is adaptations of the print media.
Yeah.
Print media is not like a multiversal variant. So what Kevin Feige and the board, why they're calling it 616 is because to Marvel fans, not general audiences, but to Marvel fans, 616 means home plate. So
yeah,
that's like the only connection that's being made there is like, he's like, hey, when you're watching this universe, like, these are your main characters. These are the ones that are most important to the stories that we're telling. He's not saying it's like taking over and erasing the comics. It's literally like a subconscious thing in the way that we think and literally the way that we're perceiving the characters that we're watching. I don't think that print characters and universes are multiverses too, because there's just literally no way that you would have them cross over. So when she went on that like tirade after Kevin Feige said that, I kind of like lost respect for her, and I was like, yeah, well,
be in a good show first, then start talking.
yeah, exactly.
We don't want to hear from you. So sorry,
but her dad's really cool. I actually I loved her dad in the show, and he was cool in this too. He was great. But yeah, get this Ms. Marvel propaganda stuff off my
I don't
screen.
think there's a lot of room 3 episodes to go. I think there's a lot of room to do a whole lot with. Look, if we're seeing Ms. Marvel on screen and we're not seeing John Bernthal, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Come on.
So, or Bullseye.
That's right. Or Bullseye. So I don't know what they're going to do with that, but I can't imagine much.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. All right.
Yeah.
Episode 6, the culmination of all the tension that's being built up. Matt struggling with not putting the suit back on. Kingpin struggling with realizing that he doesn't have as much power as Mayor as he thought he might have, and that he was actually more powerful as Kingpin, and that he actually got more things done for the city as Kingpin. That's kind of been the driving force for these two characters, the tension that's been building up. And what happens this episode, Mr. Longbox?
What happens this episode is it comes to a head for both of them simultaneously. That the dual protagonist experience that we've been enjoying, the two characters trying to deny who they really are, but you see them being edged and pushed and cajoled and pulled and tempted into who they really are. Each episode has been building, and it breaks this time around, and they literally show it in beautifully edited cut scenes back and forth
Yeah.
in fights. And in fact, it was the whole episode was cutting back and forth to see it. And and not just in fights, in conversations. And it was, as I texted to you early this morning, absolute brilliance.
Yeah.
I keep saying it. I'm going to say it again. I can't believe it's getting better.
Yeah.
I don't think it can get better. And it gets better.
So you compared it. Talk about the comparison.
I said it now, last episode I said it's on the same level as Penguin. After watching these 2 episodes, especially episode 6, it now has elevated itself above Penguin. And that's not any shade on Penguin, because I thought Penguin was the best thing I've seen comic book related in years.
Yeah.
And Daredevil is even better.
That's a hot take. I'm not sure I agree with you. I'm not sure I disagree with you. But I think if you were to take that to the internet, I think you would have.
That's what we're doing. Bring it to the internet. You know where to find me. Come get some. I'll have that conversation. And I do understand this is opinion based, and I will acknowledge that. I mean, I'm a big Batman fan, but I'm a bigger Daredevil fan.
Yeah.
And so that's fair. But you can't deny the writing. You can't deny the editing and the. It's not just the writing. I've been saying the writing, but this particular episode was edited together from a storyteller's perspective perfectly. It paid off everything that's come before it. I mean, from the big things, like when you got Kingpin, and we'll get into the specifics, but Kingpin's wailing away and Matt's wailing away, or in this case, Daredevil's wailing away.
Yeah.
Both these things are happening, and the cuts are happening. If Matt or Daredevil's punching, and you see the punch getting thrown, and there's a cut, and now it's Kingpin's throwing the punch.
Yeah,
now
finishing it. Yeah.
They could have done something a little less artistic and had a split screen, but that would have been a little cheesy to me. This was so much better. But that's the big stuff. The little stuff, though, would be Matt talking to Heather about her interviewing Punisher, and then about her interviewing Daredevil.
Yeah.
And you see Matt sitting there, and he's already been mulling it for a couple episodes now. And he's actually now, you can see he's almost accepted the reality, because he's smiling about it and he's putting his head up, and then you go over and it's Kingpin, it's Fisk and Vanessa at this stupid fundraising thing where Vanessa is like the voice of the devil in his ear, but she's absolutely right, and says to him, you're going to go here and talk to the richest people in New York City, but it's not about fundraising for them. It's about them acknowledging their supremacy. And Kingpin has to sit there and eat what they're shoveling.
Yeah.
And they get in his face. And so you see those 2 conversations happening are also leading up to this was the whole episode. It was just, and I'll say this last thing, and then I'm going to throw it back to you. The reality is, these 2 characters, Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk, they need to be who they are. They can't. Matt Murdock, he is Bullseye. He can't be Matt Murdock and not be Bullseye.
Daredevil.
Daredevil. My goodness, he is Daredevil, and so. Like it is a yin yang, if you want to call it that or whatever. They are flip sides of the same coin. You cannot separate the 2. It's torture for Matt not to be Daredevil.
Yeah.
Wilson Fisk, it's the same thing. He is the Kingpin.
Yeah.
He can run for mayor. He can win being mayor, but and he can lose weight. But he is Kingpin, and that is his nature. And everything in environmentally, externally, and internally drive these 2 men back to who they are, and who they are puts them ultimately against one another.
Yep.
Which makes you go right back. I think it's episode 2 when they're in that diner and they're having a conversation when both of them are literally trying to be somebody else. But Matt even then acknowledges, if our interests come into conflict, you have a problem with me.
Yeah.
And now that becomes reality, because we have Kingpin. We now know, we have the setup, like we had speculated last time. Who are his henchmen going to be for the Devil's Reign storyline? Well, now we know. He identifies it. And so we see that the dual protagonists line goes like this. and I'm literally rooting for both. I'm actually rooting for Fisk to become Kingpin again. We all are. We're all Vanessa. We want that. And we all, of course, want to see Daredevil put the costume back on to start wailing on bad guys.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. And we're rooting for both. But now as they become who they're meant to be, well, a part of that package is who they're meant to be is this.
Yeah.
And it's all ringing true. Every one of those moments was earned. I'll stop talking because I've gone for a while, but it was so good, man.
What we're here for.
It was so good.
Yeah. I think I noticed, I think it was like pretty early on in that episode, I was like, oh, Kingpin's neck is like fuller.
You said it. Yeah. Last episode, you were talking about that. He's gaining his weight. He's eating that big meal, right?
Yeah. And then at the beginning of this episode, I was like, oh yeah, his neck is looking fuller. And then like 5 minutes later, he tries to put the jacket on and it rips. And I was like, oh, he's back. He's back.
And Vanessa knows what it means because she says to him, we'll just have to get you a new wardrobe.
Yeah.
She doesn't say what you would. Now, I'm a married man. You're a married man. Take this the right way. He's not saying what everybody watching the show, she's not saying what everybody watching the show expects the wife to say, which is, well, honey, we got to get you back on that diet. What's happening? You're gaining weight. Oh no.
Yeah.
That's not it. She's like, well, we got to get you. What you're wearing externally doesn't fit who you are, is what she's saying, which is what we've been talking about. You especially brought this up. She wants him to become Kingpin again.
She wants him to be fat.
All the little details like that, none of them feel tacked on because they're all embedded in character, which is why this is such a good story. And why the Penguin was such a good story.
Yeah.
Yes, you have your action scenes and your fight scenes and all the things we want from superheroes. But if that's all it is, you leave feeling a little bit like, okay, I really liked it. It was fun. But then you don't really think about the movies anymore. But that's why we love Avengers Endgame, for example. And that's why we love, or me especially, and you love, and I think a lot of people love the Daredevil season, whatever we're calling this season, season 4, season 1. But the Disney version of this particular season is so good because I care deeply about both of these characters, and I don't want to like the Wilson Fisk. I don't want to like the Kingpin, and yet I was so happy to see him become the Kingpin again.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so great.
Everything's right in the world.
Yes, because it's true. And it's if a Daredevil story doesn't get philosophical / spiritual,
mm-hmm.
if a storyline involving Matt Murdock doesn't do that, then none will.
Yeah, so I remember when like a bunch of critics got to see the whole show before it came out, and one of the critics had said that there was a lack of Matt's faith and religious themes. And I'm like, man, well, one, you probably just aren't like a religious person, because you don't have to be in church to feel the struggles and the tension of what faith is. Yeah. Matt's not in like going to mass, and he's not going to confession, but we had that scene in the courtroom where he's literally treating it as his church, because he needs it to be like, right. he needs it to be, and he's praying. He's doing a Catholic prayer over the Foggy's memorial card at the beginning of the episode, and like I said in the bank robbing episode, he takes a moment to pause and to look up to the heavens and there's communication in that, and it's not. I mean, you can talk to God anywhere. You don't just talk to God in church.
And there's a part where he's standing outside the church looking in.
Yeah, from early on in the show.
Symbolism is outside looking in as he's exactly. It's religion, religiosity, being religious, or spirituality. If you're thinking it's just those obvious tropes, then you're stereotyping it. It's much more personal than that. And for a character like Matt Murdock, it also is a part of who he is. Yeah. He's never not going to be that. If he's walking in it, then he's walking in it. If he's not walking in it, he's feeling guilty. He's not walking in it. Either way, this is coming. It stems from who he is. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just you have to appreciate the personal and subtle nature of somebody's relationship to a higher being. In this case, God. And man, and I honestly, and you said it a lot nicer than I would. I would say, what are you watching? Like, are you not like it's not even that subtle. It's pretty overt. Like he's literally articulating a prayer.
Yeah.
What more do you want?
Yeah. Looking to the heavens with light beaming down. Like it really doesn't. Yeah. It's on the nose subtlety, I guess.
Yeah. So it's just, go ahead.
Something that happened in episode 5 was one of the mob leaders shows up in the mayor's office, and this pisses Kingpin off so much so that he puts $1 million tax onto what this guy has to pay. So earlier in the season, Vanessa, like one gang killed a couple of the other gang members, and Vanessa says, okay, well, you got to pay $1.8 million in restitution for what happened. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And so that kind of like took the backseat. We didn't like really hear more about it. But then this dude who has to pay that shows up to the mayor's office, and I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio, what an actor, like his lip quivering, just like that frustration that he's suppressing. And he's telling the guy like, okay, well, like he's basically telling him like, I don't care what you think. You were going to pay this, and now you're going to pay another $1 million. And this guy's like so smug, and I'm just like, dude, you're screwed.
Oh, yeah, what are you doing? You're lucky you didn't snap your neck right there.
Yeah,
in that moment in his mayor's office.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like he might be testing who Wilson Fisk is today, as far as the show is, like who Kingpin is today. But I wouldn't test a guy with that resume. Like I would not be poking the bear. So that tension, that frustration that Kingpin has kind of launches into episode 6 when he is walking down into the basement. And I don't know if you caught it, but they made his footsteps on the stairs louder.
I did.
They were loud as he was walking down there.
Absolutely. And you see that, and you see Adam, who no doubt that's all he's been hearing for as long as he's been locked up.
Yeah.
Is he's listening for who's coming down the stairs. So he 100% knows it's Fisk. He 100% knows it's a heavier Fisk. The footfalls are landing with more purpose. And what does he do? He retreats to the back of the cell.
Yeah.
He was up at the front, and then he goes to the corner like a scared, imprisoned rat.
Yeah.
In the back of his cell, and it's I did pick that up.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like they're not missing any details. I don't know who to thank for this, because it's not easy to pull that off. Like you could have it in the script, but to be able to pull it off in the edit, that means you have to have captured the shots, and you have to have an editor who's willing to edit it together so that you get those moments. It's really hard to do, and I can't find any flaws in this episode. I'm not looking at it going, they messed this up, or this wasn't good.
Yeah.
It just was, and it makes all the other episodes even better because you see these moments along the way that are now being cashed in, and they feel honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So he walks down and he goes and talks to Adam, and he's holding an axe. Kingpin is, and he gives this monologue, this excellent monologue about like fighting and standing up for yourself and being bullied and like basically what he learned was when he was getting beat up on by older people. And this is a huge callback to the Netflix show. Two instances in the Netflix show is you need something to level the playing field. And so he has the axe, and he throws it to Adam, and he's basically like, now let's fight. The axe levels the playing field. You have it in your hands now.
Yep.
You're now an equal opponent to me. And this is a callback to two scenes in the Netflix show. The most obvious one is when Wilson kills his father. Is he did it with a hammer, struck his dad in the back of the head, kills his dad. His dad was an abuser, abused his mom. I think smacked him around a couple times in some of those scenes, but definitely like was abusing his mom. And so while he was abusing Wilson's mom, that's when Wilson comes with the hammer, hits him in the back of the, just digs that thing in his head and kills him, leveled the playing field, made it even. But Wilson learned that from his dad. So Wilson was getting bullied from some dudes on the street or some dudes at school or whatever. And so Wilson's dad takes him and finds the dude like in an alleyway, just like chucking bottles. I don't know, whatever kids did in the 50s because they didn't have iPhones. and so he takes him back there, and he's like, basically he's like, hey, you know, you're picking on my boy. And I think he hands Wilson a bat.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, like go to town on it. Cause this was like, yeah, this dude's like a senior in high school, and Wilson at the time, I don't know, in like 8th grade, he kind of looked like,
just not even really, but he's still prepubescent.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So he handed him a bat, and he's like, all right, get your revenge. So, that I thought that was like a really cool callback.
Yeah.
That he's like, okay, let's make this fair. And then they fight, destroys him within an inch of his life, and then throws him back in the cell.
That was the coolest part, that he didn't kill him, because in other words, whenever Wilson Fisk needs to get a Kingpin hit, it's gonna be at Adam's expense.
Yeah.
He's gonna go back down to that dungeon and just beat the tar out of him.
Yeah.
Again. I thought he did kill him. I wasn't sure when he threw him back in the cell, is he still alive? But then I saw he was moving, but because he was hitting him with all he could.
Yeah.
As Kingpin, you know, the poor guy, he didn't really make much use of that axe. Like, he got maybe one swing, or if even one swing at him, and that was it. And then he just got pounded.
Yeah. So then this is the final thing we'll talk about here. So Severance season 2 just wrapped up. No spoilers for Severance here, but I just need to draw some connections from my viewing experience. And this specifically ties into the Muse storyline. So I'm watching Severance season 2. Severance season 1, honestly, probably one of the best seasons of television I've ever watched.
Very good.
Ever. So good. Season 2, I found just a complete step, maybe even 2 steps down. Like, there's so many questions from season 1, so much tension. And instead of answering questions, they ask more questions. And so now it's like I have so many questions, and I'm not getting questions answered. Then I'm getting questions like half answered. And then I'm getting like, then there's like reveals for things that they didn't even like really make you question. And so it's just like this really frustrating viewing experience for me, because there's certain things that I care about in the show that it seemed like the writers and the showrunners at least didn't care to address in this season. So it just made it a very frustrating viewing experience for me. So I'm sitting there and I like have these questions, and they're like not really getting answered. My biggest question in Daredevil so far was, I'm not seeing how the Muse storyline is going to cross over with Daredevil. Like, if he's just this serial killer, and the way that Matt is acting right now, he's just going to say, yeah, he's a serial killer. Let the police handle it. Mm-hmm. But they merged it in this perfect way that actually meant something.
Yeah, they did.
And so the White Tiger, right, Hector Ayala's niece, you know, she had the conversation with Matt at the morgue, and then she comes into the law firm, and she basically tells Matt like, hey, I think before my uncle died, I think he was onto something. And she basically like is drawing all these connections to the missing people, and says like all those people that go missing, it's like from this place. And so Matt is like, yeah, like let the cops handle it. Excuse me. And Hector's niece, completely justified, is like, what do you mean let the police? The police are the ones who killed my uncle. Why are you telling me to let the police? They're not going to handle anything.
She hits him with some hard stuff.
Yeah, she does. And so she's like, you know what? My uncle was right. My uncle told me, like, if you want to get things done, like, you have to be the one to do it. And she leaves and is very like emotional. She's crying, and you know, Matt's sitting there, and you see more of that tension. Like, it's calling me.
Yeah, it was the second time we had. The first was the guy who went away for petty for stealing the fiddle faddle Rikers Island. The same kind of like,
yeah,
what do I do now? But now he cares. Now he knows this girl.
Yeah,
and she's a kid.
Yeah, and so she, at some point in the episode, kudos to her bravery. She's walking down the subway with her phone flashlight, and you're like, yeah, you're cooked. You are cooked.
Why? Yeah.
And then it cuts to Matt. Matt gets a phone call from Hector's
widow.
Hector's widow, and she says, "Hey, I haven't heard from her. I normally hear from her by now. She's not home." And it's just such a great scene. He calls 911. The 911 operator answers. And I'm not really sure what about it is like what tipped him over, but maybe it's just like the generality in like 911, what's your emergency? Just like the robotics of that.
So bureaucratic.
Yeah. And he's sitting there and he's like holding the phone and they're like, "Hello?" And he just says, "F it." And then he goes to his roof, puts the suit on. I wish we would have had a montage of him. Like, I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
And then he goes and you see him swing in, which is great. Like you had said when you came to the house, we were talking with Dara, like they're using his baton more this season, which is really awesome because it is so much of like Daredevil and how he travels and how he fights. Yep. And
it's a big part of his arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, I think, is there any?
Yeah, he's got it here. He's balancing on it here.
Yeah. He's holding it here in his hand.
Holding it here in this one.
Yeah. He's flying with it there.
He's got it attached to the stilt's long leg over here.
Yeah. He's using it there.
Yeah. I mean, it is, he uses it almost magically, ricocheting it. It's a very important part of who he is.
Yeah. And so then it cuts and Muse has, I'm forgetting her name. It's not Angela because that's the other white tiger.
Yeah.
But anyways, he has her and she's knocked out and he's putting her on his med table where it does all the blood extraction, and he hears noises, and so he peeks out down the subway and just sees the lights, but they're red and they're like reflecting, and as the lights get further away, then you see somebody running.
Oh man, it was brilliant.
And just this great fight sequence that is intertwined with the Kingpin Atom fight, and Matt is just not holding his punches. He even lets out just this roar in the middle of the fight.
He's having fun.
Yeah, he is. And
too much fun.
He's hanging this guy, but it's really cool because he's like counting the heartbeats. He's like, okay, like it's to a point where he's unconscious, not to a point where he's dead. And then he saves Hector's niece, and that's the or he turns around and Muse is gone. Muse is left. Muse realizes he's kind of out of his depth here.
Yeah.
Muse in the comics is actually an Inhuman, and what makes him cool is his power has to do with like blood. I don't remember the exact name, but basically he can make it so that within himself there's like no pulse, no blood flow. Basically like pauses, like he can like channel the blood and Matt can't hear him.
Ooh.
And so he's invisible to Matt.
Yeah, it would be.
So in the comics, I don't think they're going to do that here.
But he has a cloaking device.
Yeah, pretty much. So it makes for some really, really interesting fight scenes. So, yeah, I mean, episode's great. We're now, I mean, the next full episodes, it's going to be pedal to the metal, I think.
Yeah.
It's all going to be,
yeah,
it's going to be going.
It's like, it's so good. I'm just, at this point, I'm just strapped in for the ride. I have full 100% confidence that they're going to take me where I want to go. It's so rare to get that. Like you're always thinking, oh, please don't blow it. Don't blow it. Or sometimes you're just surprised when it's really good.
Yeah.
I've been expecting it to be really good, and it's surpassed expectations every single week.
Yeah.
So now I've become the man with no fear.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid that I'm going to be somehow let down by this series at this point. I know that it's going to somehow even be better even as we go. Because it's been that way. So yeah, phenomenal season. Great episode.
Yeah, there's some other stuff we didn't talk about. We finally got the introduction of Detective Cole North, who is integral to the Zdarsky run. We got the anti-vigilante task force kind of going in full motion. We'll probably talk more about that next week because I feel like that stuff's really going to pick up. And I feel like that's when we might get some more Punisher again.
So let me ask you this. Do you think now still that Heather will die, or now since they've come up with a new way to connect Muse to Daredevil that maybe she's off the hook?
I think she's probably off the hook.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Poor Matt. He's been through enough.
Also, when was the last time you read the Frank Miller run?
It's been a couple years. A couple 3 years.
So I opened up the issue where the collection I got. I have the Frank Miller run, and so I was like bagging and boarding them, and it was after you had mentioned. It was after episode 1 when you said, like Matt had like let go of Bullseye, or like there was kind of like that question up in the air,
hanging from the.
Yeah. So when I got to that issue, I decided to open it up and just like look through it. I didn't read it, but I just kind of like skimmed the pages. And I had completely forgot that Heather Glenn was his girlfriend during the Frank Miller run. He was dating Heather Glenn. And Elektra, that's when Elektra comes back into his life.
Yeah.
So
Elektra, where are you?
if he's dating Heather Glenn now,
Where are we on the timeline?
that could just be a plot point from a storyline that they just...
Listen, if somehow in the next 3 episodes, Elektra shows up, like I'm not sure if I'll be able to contain myself, because you know how I feel about that whole story arc, and we've gotten that story arc a couple times. How cool would it be to find out that we're going right? This leads it right up to that.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know.
So the fact that, he was dating Heather Glenn.
I forgot about that.
And I think, the story will obviously be different because we're not getting the death of Elektra, because that already happened. But you could have this. Matt does think that Elektra's dead right now, currently, from the end of Defenders. And he's dating Heather. And I'm assuming by the end of this season, his life might be going somewhat in the better direction. I don't know. I also feel like he could end up in jail. We'll see. But I mean, I don't know. It's not a coincidence that they chose Heather Glenn, right? Like,
no, it is not a coincidence. And what happens when if we're borrowing from the comics, what happens in the Daredevil storyline when Matt winds up in jail? Daredevil doesn't go away. Well, who becomes Daredevil?
Elektra. So hop on your Daredevil issue number 25 from 2019-2020.
Yep, The Woman Without Fear, that run.
Yeah, that one. But she gets the title in Daredevil 25.
Yep, that's the one I picked that one up. It's got that slab.
Yeah,
9/4, I think.
Yeah.
So okay, real fast. What are you looking for at WonderCon?
Slabs. I'm running low on slabs.
Okay,
inventory wise.
Inventory slabs. So it could, the price doesn't really matter if you think you get a good deal, because because it's a margin either way.
Yeah.
So
and then I have a video idea which I spoke about last week, which I haven't communicated with ChatGPT yet, but I'll probably do that today or tomorrow, and then ChatGPT will tell me what I'll be shopping for. But
that's crazy.
Slabs. I'm not necessarily looking for anything. I might just be looking at wall books if I see it. Honestly, I might even be looking for stuff to grade. So
that's fun. That's actually really fun, because you have 2 presses, and you now have at least 2 years experience as a presser, and you've really helped do some CPR on some of my books, and you've come back a lot higher graded than I would have thought. So you can make a good margin there.
Yeah.
And you'll see a lot of slab, like that, non-slab books, and that is a way. We always talk about, where do you find the deals at a convention? You can find the deals if you're buying a lot. If you like, how much for all of these?
Yeah.
They'll give you a deal. But you can also find a deal getting them raw if you know you can upgrade the condition. So that'd be fun. So I'll be on the lookout for you for something like that if I see.
Yeah.
I'm looking for, the same target areas that you guys know I want to do. Like, of course, Golden Age Catwoman covers. But the truth is, there are a paucity, a scarcity of Silver Age Catwoman covers. So I'll look for those as well. And Silver Age one's high grade, Golden Age one's affordable grade, which isn't very high grade at all. Obviously FF12, FF2, FF4. Those are never going off my list.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four 1. If I saw like a really high grade copy of the Golden Record reprint, it's possible, but not likely, because I think I'd ultimately be unhappy with that, and would have preferred to save the money and put it toward a low grade entry level actual FF1. So I probably won't. But my friend Jeff, I have a friend who's here and his wife visiting for the week, and he asked me the question yesterday. He said, "Is there any book that if you saw it, you'd be willing?" And buying it meant that you couldn't buy another thing the whole convention. Do you know what that would be? And it would be, if I saw like a really good deal on a solid grade FF12, FF4, FF2, and that's all I bought, or not any Golden Age Catwoman cover. It would have to be Detective 122, her first appearance. Any one of those. But here's the coolest thing. Deb and I, my wife, were talking last night, and I said, if I see something like that, even if it's out of what my budget is for the con, I will buy it, and then I will go and I will sell from my collection books to put it into the budget range. And she's like, yeah, I totally get that. So not that, my wife would be the first to say, like, I don't need permission to buy a book.
Yeah.
But as a husband, you ought to be responsible to your family for the budget that you guys have, right? And so, but now that I've essentially have permission to go ahead and spend more than I budgeted if I see something I want.
Yeah.
So that's because you do claim sales. It makes it easier for me to sell.
Yeah, I got one the next weekend. So
it won't even be that long. Like if I buy something like big, I'm gonna give you some big slabs to sell.
You'd be in a couple weeks.
I'll go here, and there'll be ones that will hurt, but they won't hurt if it means I got this book.
Yeah, and I still have some of your stuff from the last time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which there's a decent sized book in there too. The Golden Age one.
Yes, there is. So anyway, I have. There's no telling what's going to happen now. There's a lot of books now have come into the realm of possibility for me. Like almost every book that I could possibly want comes into the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Maybe not this one because it's still quite high, but I don't need this one anymore because I got a reprint yesterday.
That's right.
At a secondhand store, and there was a copy of True Believers FF5. I mean, I made a joke. I texted you. I said, I finally got my FF5. and you text me back. He says, it's better than nothing. I said, yeah.
I got a 2.0 waiting for you. Not this one, but.
Yes. I do know that you have.
I got a 2.0. For myself, I'll hold it till it's the right time to sell. But if after the con you didn't buy anything, you're like, hey. It's time. I would sell it to you, whatever the FMV is right now.
Yeah. The FMV is a lot higher than it used to be. It's like it's gone about 20%. It's in the last 3 months, 4 months. It's
for the 2.0, it's a little bit lower than it was before. Not a lot of 2.0s have sold. So
what about 2.5? You're like, doesn't matter.
I've made over $1,000 on this investment already.
Yeah,
because shout out Rohan. He sent me that post.
Rohan is the man. He sent me an FF12. He said, you should offer this much for it. And I said, well, I just bought Batman 42. I gotta wait.
Yeah.
At least until after WonderCon.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Yeah. We'll check in from the con, right?
We'll see you guys in Anaheim at WonderCon.
Yep.
Right. I don't remember where we left off. I think I just said we'll see you at WonderCon.
Yeah.
Here we are. Short little segment of what life has been like at WonderCon the last day and a half.
Yeah.
For me, I am not going to do any reveals for you guys because everything is kept under wraps for my video that's coming out. So make sure you have the notification bell on to see what I got. I gave you guys a hint a couple weeks ago, or I think last episode, that I was going to be using ChatGPT to decide what book I'm going to get. So whether or not that's a success or fail, yet to be seen. And I do have a little subplot for that. So yeah, stay tuned for that video. But Mr. Longbox is going to show off some of what he got.
Yeah, I've been busy. I'm going to keep some of the extra special highlights for next week. But I did get a haul here from a particular dealer. I've talked about getting those low key, sort of under the radar Frank Miller covers. If you can find them cheap, I've named a few of them as sleepers in the past.
Wait a second. Here are name tags. Mine was flipped, but yours wasn't. But I think you're fine. I can blur it. But okay. Sorry.
I've been talking about getting those Frank Miller covers. low key ones that are not the obvious ones that everybody knows about, that you can still get pretty cheap. And I've been saying for a while, if you can find them in the wild and they're a good price, pick them up. Well, I had a chance to put my money where my mouth is, because there was a dealer, had great prices and everything was half off, and I just rifled through, and I on 2 separate occasions went in and just picked up hauls. So real fast, I'll just show you my stacks here. These are all Moon Knight 15s. I don't know if you guys can see. Here, hold that up. I'll give them to you. Hold them up. And I'm not sure how many are there. I haven't even counted yet. I looted that place, man. I got as many as I could get my hands on that weren't like noticeably dinged up. I don't know what all the grades are, but they're all in
9.
They're all in the 9s. I got 9 of them.
Yeah,
and they're all going to probably be in the 9s. I'll probably send them into CGC with like a 9.0 or a 9.2 screen or something like that. But anyway, there's those. And here's another one of the underrated, under the radar Miller covers. Amazing Spider-Man Annual 14. Again, these are all 80s books. I love that cover, Doom cover with Spidey and Doctor Strange. And we're getting to count. One of them's a newsstand, by the way, so that was cool. I think close. 8 of those, okay. And then this one here is really one you never think about. There's just 4 of these. This is Captain Marvel, or Marvel Spotlight, number 8, and Captain Marvel is the focus. And it's just a Frank Miller cover you never think about, but really sharp. Love the colors. Awesome.
4 of those.
Frank Miller and Austin of the Burn Austin team.
Oh, nice.
On that cover. And this one has an old Frank Miller signature. It's just his letters, FM. This is way, way back, early 80s, Spider-Man issue number 219. Great cover. And I do believe that's Frank Miller's first work on Spider-Man. Maybe not his only work, but certainly his first. And then finally, this one is not Frank Miller, but Bill Sienkiewicz, classic Moon Knight issue number 8. Who doesn't love that cover? And all these books were at the most $10 each.
Oh, you spent $2 for these?
Yeah, those were $5 cover price. I mean, and that was half off, so $2.50. I bought all that he had that weren't mangled.
Wow.
And I wish he had more, because I would have bought them all. I felt kind of guilty because I just cleaned them out.
Yeah.
But you got to strike when the iron's hot.
True.
You get there early and you have a plan, and sometimes the plan comes to fruition. A lot of times it doesn't at cons, but this time around it really did.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't hold back.
Yeah.
I'm spending a lot of my budget right now on day one on these, but I knew I wouldn't regret it.
Yeah. And you got a couple stuff signed too.
I did.
We'll probably see those next week.
Yeah, it's a fun story, and I'll share it with you guys next week. But I got a couple signed books, or one signed book, and then a couple signed posters that maybe is my favorite thing of the con that I got the very first hour I was on the floor.
Yeah.
So I'll save all that, and a figurine too, but I'll save all that for our next episode.
We've seen some crazy books. Blue Chip Comics had a 5.0 Tech 31. Right, and then he had a 4.5 Batman one.
Yep.
A CBCS 4.5.
I saw an Action 1 restored to a 6.0. And it was cool to look at an Action 1 and a 6.0. I don't care how it got there.
Yeah.
And the price on that was it was over $500,000. I don't know. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But when you start throwing those numbers around, it doesn't much matter. But
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, seriously. I think what else? I saw a 2.5 the Red Hood. I'm forgetting what issue that is.
There's the one, I think it was Red Hood Comics. Speaking of the Red Hood,
he's the one who had it.
Yeah, he is the one who had it, and he had right next to the Action Comics 1 was Wiz Comics 1, first Captain Marvel, and then on the other side of it was Flash Comics number 1, first Flash. I mean, it's just, you look at this stuff and you go, wow, that's you're at the top of the pyramid with that. So I don't know.
It's really interesting seeing some dealers have like finally caught up, which is great. And I've seen some like really great prices. Like Red Comics had some really good prices. A couple other booths, I don't know their names. But then some others just like you like walk up, you look at the wall, and then you immediately walk away because you know what you're getting into.
I can't even remember some of the details, but books that were 80, 75, 80% higher than fair market value. Like I got not as bad as it's been in the past, but I walked up and the prices were insulting. Like, honestly, it's like you can't seriously think anyone's going to pay this price. These aren't even one of a kind books.
I saw a 9/8 direct. No, sorry. I'm thinking I was merging two memories. I saw a raw copy of a direct first Beta Ray Bill. What was that Thor 336 or 337, something like that?
337.
Direct raw for $350.
Okay, yeah, I think I was at that booth.
I bought a 9/8 newsstand for like under $200.
Yeah, and that's not like a crazy deal that sometimes you run into as a dealer. That's the price.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But I would say though, maybe we're getting closer to the return of the con. Like I have found some good deals. This pile here is a good deal. I know you found some really great stuff, good deals that you'll share later. But it's been easier to spend at this convention for me than it has in a while.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of slabs this year. A lot of dealers that normally bring like a bunch of slabs just have brought like half of what they normally do.
Yeah, why do you suppose that is?
Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe because the market is low and slab prices are kind of like firm. Like you can't like inflate a slab price because what they go for is what they go for. But raw copies, like that kind of changes day by day. Like somebody might get like a near mint, I don't know, like Secret Wars 8 for like $150 on eBay one day, and the next day it goes for $250.
Yeah, so they can deal. There's more wheeling and dealing with raw. I guess that makes sense. I've gotten spoiled now because of the slabs, and now when I walk up and I see like a bin of slabs, I love it because you can get through them really fast.
Yeah.
If you know what you're looking for, unless you really want to see the covers, you can just look at the top and you're done. It's that fast. But when they're so now I'm walking up, I'm seeing the for example, like a Golden Age box, and they're all packed tight, and they're raw, and I just, because you got to go through so much. What do we say? So much chaff to find anything that you really want, and it just doesn't feel worth it. And but anyway, good deals to be had, I think. Yeah,
I've seen a couple like Golden Age only dealers, which is kind of unique for West Coast shows.
I saw some really good Schomburg covers, some really good Matt Baker covers. Some of the and some really classic LB cool, like the Mask, that one that everybody
knows
about.
I've seen like 3 of those.
Right?
And there's a very specific book that I'm looking for this video. I've seen more of the Mask covers than for this book that I'm looking for, which is insanely it's crazy. Yeah, I can't believe I've literally seen 3. I can't find. I've seen 2 of the book that I'm looking for, but they're higher grade than what I'm aiming for. I can't find anything else. That's crazy.
Yeah, that it's hard to believe. I mean, especially to compare to the LB Cole Mask, iconic cover, because that's, or the other one, the Schomburg cover where it's the robot carrying it's the airbrush cover. Yeah. I've seen a couple, 2, 3 of those.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those. Yeah.
I saw the Young Men 24. It was kind of beat, but it was a pretty good deal on it. And that's the reemergence of Captain America, Human Torch, Submariner, or in the mid-50s. I've always wanted that book, and it was like, okay, if I don't find the other ones I'm looking for, I'm going to come back and I'm going to buy this one. Yeah. But I did. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you guys have been following our podcast for very long, you know you could probably know what only a short number of books it could be. Yeah. But I'm not going to say.
So overall, pretty good experience. Yeah. So we're going to go back to the con floor, do our final hunt here in the last couple hours. So this is the end of the podcast. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. Follow us on Instagram @Spurs_comics, @Mr. Make sure you're tuned in next week where we'll do
the big reveal,
the full reveal, of what we got. And anything else?
No. If you happen to be. No, it doesn't make any sense. No. I just realized that I jumped ahead in the timeline. Never mind.
All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Peace.